KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
Go on.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hey, KBLA delegation, you know what's better than laughing? Laughing while celebrating the legends who made us laugh in the first place. KBLA Talk 1580 is proud to present our annual Black History Month luncheon. And this year, we're honoring comedy greats, trailblazers who broke barriers, and funny bones at the same time.
You had to grow up early when we was growing up because your parents were seen to the store to buy. You was too young to buy. I want you to go to the store, get me a fifth of gin and a pack of cigarettes. Mama, I'm two. They ain't gonna let me have that. Here, take this note. You be a little boy walking down the street with liquor and cigarettes, and your neighbors be going, that's a good little boy right there.
We need a little levity right about now. So we're rolling out the red carpet for comedy royalty. D.L. Hughley, Melanie Camacho, Earthquake, Lunel, Dion Cole, Martin Lawrence, and a surprise guest appearance. It's going up Thursday, February 26th in downtown LA at the Grammy Museum. An unforgettable afternoon of stories, celebration, and yes, plenty of laughs. Because let's be real, these legends don't just tell jokes. They have changed the game, opened doors, and made history while making us smile.
You gotta go to child support court. You gotta get there real early in the morning. You see brothers going into court. You see them come out 3 hours later. I can't pay this. Let me talk to you, baby. Please, let me talk to the witness, Your Honor. Let me talk to the witness. Brother be working for 3 weeks, get his check is $43.
This year, for the first time ever, we have set aside a limited number of individual tickets for the luncheon. They are going to go fast, and when they're gone, they're gone. So, if you want a single ticket, or if your company or organization wants to sponsor a table, move swiftly and get to KBLA1580.com right now. All these comedy giants in one room on one stage at the same time? Stop it! This event is going to sell out quicker than right now and sooner than at once. KBLA Talk 1580's annual Black History Month luncheon, Thursday, February 26th at the Grammy Museum. It's gonna be legendary, just like them.
What's up? What's up?
What's up? You got to laugh the pain away.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-550-9651. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-550-9651. That's 800-550-9651. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
You are for the Jesse Jackson Show
The Jesse Jackson Jr.
on
Show.
KBLA Talk 1580. It's Wednesday with Dr. Westcott Yeri of the Yeri Firm.
to
A Maryland-based litigation and government relations firm, and also serves as the senior pastor of the Douglas Memorial Community Church of Baltimore and affiliates. He's also the former chief executive officer of the Rainbow Push Coalition. Dr. Yuri, welcome forward to the show.
Good to be with you on a Wednesday. It's a little wild today. Let's see what happens.
Dr. Yuri, Gina has proposed that we take a look at yesterday in history. I meant to get to this yesterday, but we ran out of time. On this day, on January 20th, Colin Powell was selected or appointed, if you will, to be the first African-American Secretary of State of the United States. The significance, Dr. Yuri, of the leadership of Colin Powell.
Well, aside from a distinguished military career, certainly his appointment was very hopeful. I think there was, by virtue of things beyond his control, a little bit of disappointment and tarnish when it came down to the testimony concerning weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. But I think overall, if we were to try to position General Powell's service, it would be highly unlikely, nearly impossible, that he would be Secretary of State under this administration, simply because of the way they view the expertise and the capabilities of people of color, particularly of African descent. So I think if we just use that benchmark from yesterday and look at how far we have regressed in many ways in terms of who is actually called upon to serve in this government, particularly with this administration, I think we would all agree that it leaves a lot to be desired, and that would be putting it mildly.
I know that we'll be coming forward in just a moment, but I do want to ask the question and remind people that Barack Obama was also inaugurated twice president of the United States on January 20th. Kamala Harris was nominated and was sworn in as the first African-American woman vice president of the United States on January 20th. And so January 20th in and of itself, including but not limited to Hiram Revels and the role that he played in the history of African Americans, was also very significant on the date of January 11th. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. My producer's telling me to keep talking because I guess we're going right to the 30. No, she's just saying keep talking generally. It's okay. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has worksource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewdd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds. Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Quality, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Our regular contributor on Wealthy Wednesdays is Dr. S. Todd Yeary, principal of the Yeary firm. He is both a lawyer and a minister. He has 1 foot in the pulpit and also 1 foot in the courtroom, but both feet in reality. Dr. Yeary, welcome forward to the show.
It's Wednesday. I'm waiting to see what the producer's going to tell us. When she says keep talking, that's a good thing, right?
It's hump day. We need to get over this day. But Gina does an extraordinary job. We're really grateful for the work that she does here at the program and at the station. Hey, let me throw this out at you. I'm thinking in this moment, as we reflect during this drive time in Los Angeles, of just how significant January 20th is in Black history. Now, I say that because I believe, even though Shirley Chisholm gets a significant amount of credit, that the first campaign by Black people in a presidential election year to get the attention of Democrats and Republicans after the Voting Rights Act was the Poor People's Campaign. Dr. King is trying to get the attention of both parties at the hour of his assassination with this idea of the Poor People's Campaign. It's a campaign. It is a campaign like mailers and billboards and yard signs. It's a Poor People's Campaign. He's bringing them into the process just 3 years after the Voting Rights Act. Then you have, of course, Shirley Chisholm in a campaign, 1972. We have Jesse Jackson in a campaign, 1984 and 88. We have Reverend Sharpton running a presidential campaign, everybody trying to get Reverend Yeary to January 20th. Then we have Barack Obama as president of the United States, January 20th. We have Kamala Harris inaugurated on January 20th. January 20th is as significant a date in the history of Black people as anything we celebrate all year, including Watch Night, Emancipation Day, Juneteenth. The election of a United States president, Dr. Yeary, all 47 of them is Black history.
It is. The question becomes, is it history in a progressive sort of sense where we're building and expanding on the principles of opportunity and inclusion, or does it become a very regressive kind of date that has many of us kind of marking the calendar to say, you mean to tell me it's only been 1 year since this dude's been in office and we got 3 more to go? What does that portend for folks who are relying on the government to be a resource and not just an adversary in opposition to what's in the best interest, particularly of those who are most vulnerable? If we think about who gets SNAP, what it looks like we still don't have a livable wage in this country, there are a number of things. Even when we get into fair housing and the regression that happens there, we still don't have justice for Black farmers, because every time that comes up, the argument is that somehow justice for disadvantaged Black folk is somehow discrimination against white folk. That every time we get to a January 20th, we have to wrestle with whether or not these next 4 years is going to lend themselves to needing to be much more engaged and then much more assertive in making sure that we don't go back in time, which is exactly where we find ourselves today.
I am particularly honored to hear that reflection. I've not heard one on this subject matter, and I think we together come up with a creative energy to put an angle on a particular date that some might just see as the third Monday in January, where we celebrate the King holiday and where we hear the speeches over and over again. But the fact of the matter is, so much of our history now comes together in the cycle and in the interpretation of what that date specifically means. I mean, it ought to be a day of voter registration, of a day of participation, a day of environmental justice, a day of equal high quality education, a day of healthcare, a day of holding Congress accountable, a day of sharing with future presidents of the United States the kind of expectations we have in judicial appointments to the federal bench and to the Supreme Court. I mean, January 20th is definitely not a laid back date, because when you look at people like Hiram Revels and you look at the significance, the hopes of swearing in a new Congress occur on a January 20th in a presidential election year. All of these things are happening in the context of January that somehow we just see as small by comparison. Hiram Rhodes Revel was elected by the Mississippi legislature as the first African American to serve in the U.S. Senate, a historic milestone during Reconstruction. Though he wasn't sworn in until February 25th, facing opposition and debate over his eligibility due to racial citizenship laws, according to sources like the Equal Justice Initiative, Hiram Revels, the first Black senator, the Mississippi Department of Archives and History, shares with us his story. January 20th, 1870. Dr. Urey.
Well, bear in mind what 1870 represents is a shift post-Civil War, post-Civil Rights Act of 1866, and then you move to Civil Rights Act of 1870. You're beginning to see the emergence of a very influential voting bloc of people who had been historically excluded. And so Hiram Revels' election, first of all, being selected by the legislature in and of itself ought to tell us a whole lot, just because of the way senators were elected at that particular time. It wasn't a popular vote per se. But it also speaks to, I think, the importance of our full engagement and participation in this process. Where I think we've tended to lose our way is we've kind of held our engagement at the polls subject to kind of instant gratification. This isn't a one and done. As you were talking a minute ago, I was thinking January 20th for us, or the third Monday in January in observance of Dr. King's birthday, should be a day that we actually issue a report card on the United States government on how well the government is doing, addressing the issues for whom Dr. King had great concern. And so it shouldn't just be hearing a president pontificate about, and some would say pontificate, others might say defecate, on the reality of what he had done on behalf of the nation. But rather than listening to this dude just poo-poo over everything and make us believe that somehow other things are great and we're better off than we would have been otherwise, is problematic. And the people's voice needs to be heard, and the government needs to be critiqued and evaluated on its effectiveness in doing what the government is supposed to do, if it is government of, for, and by the people.
Dr. Urey, you've said something about this report card now. This report card makes sense. I mean, and it can come from not only a national perspective, but even local communities ought to be issuing on January 20th what the state of play is on these critical questions raised by Dr. King and raised in our society writ large, given the very nature that January 20th is a turning point in American history every 4 years as part of a cycle in our historic memory as a nation. There is, as I was corrected earlier by James Felton Keith, of course, it's January 2029 when we inaugurate a new president, but it still happens right around that third Monday in January every single year.
Yeah, it's always there. It's here where I think it's important that we lift up the work of Tavis Smiley and the regular publications of the state of Black America. When we would do an evaluation and an assessment of where are we in terms of the fundamental and essential uh, points of evaluation in terms of quality of life, participation, engagement, protection, are we secure in our persons? It is that kind of ongoing spirit that we have to go back and pick up again, but we also have to expand who are the teachers that are informing the report card, right? We get grades in more than one subject. Certainly, we need to do a collaborative, cooperative, even a coalition focused evaluation of where the government is, because that's how we begin to inform our own community. It's not just to tell the government the obvious. They know they're not doing anything. To tell them they're not doing anything is really more of a waste of energy, but to raise it and elevate it to a point of public discourse, local, state, and federal. If they're going to give us a state of the city, state of the state, state of the union address, then the people need to have their own retort to be able to say, we call BS for what you're trying to sell us in terms of a bill of goods. What's really going on here is you're hustling the people to the benefit of an exclusive club and to the harm of the masses. And therefore, the people now need to get organized and mobilized to be able to take back their government.
You know, we're on to something here. I'd like to see that that State of the Union, the Black State of the Union report reissued every January 20th. As a reflection on what the state of the union really is, what the state of the Negro is, from our economic to our political to our social to our cultural. And there is no doubt that at this hour in the nation's history, we are in a source or space of regression. We are going backwards, not because we, the people, particularly us, are not moving forward, but because the government itself is turning its back on the least of these. Dr. Yuri, just a few more minutes before we come forward.
Well, you call it turning his back. I think we got mooned. Something about this feels like a childish or a high school prank. That basically what the Congress keeps showing us is they're behind, right? They're basically saying we'll do what we want. You've got a president that's overseas today saying he's not going to give up on taking somebody else's land. He's just not going to use force to do it. And then comes out with some statement that says he has some sort of agreement that allows him to back away from imposing tariffs on folks who oppose his point of view about the seizing of land. There is this sense that we who have lived this history must be able to recount it. One, because this year marks 100 years since Black History Week was initiated and installed in this country. That we've got to go back and remember how we got here. And how we got here was not by some sense of charity or some sense of, egalitarian focus. Oh, let's just make room for the Negro. No, we came in kicking down doors and making demands and persisting until the cries and the calls for justice had to be heard and had to be honored.
Gina, go to the clip.
Recent claim by President Trump that the 1964 Civil Rights Act harmed white Americans is just wrong, and it's dangerous. It rewrites history in a way that fuels fear and resentment. My fathers and so many leaders of the movement, Fred Shuttlesworth, Diane Nash, John Lewis, I can call the roll, but I won't do it today, did not risk their lives to divide this nation. They did not risk their lives to divide this nation. They did so because America was denying millions basic rights, the right to work, the right to vote, to live where they please, to move through society with dignity. The Civil Rights Act did not give black people special treatment. It made discrimination illegal. The same discrimination you're trying to turn around and use. It required the law to protect everyone equally. That is democracy. So to my white brothers and sisters, the Civil Rights Act was never meant to harm you. It was meant to heal a nation broken by injustice. Fairness does not steal from you. Justice strengthens us all.
Junior, listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Bernice King said it all. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump is warning Iranian officials not to threaten him with assassination. In a News Nation interview, Trump said severe consequences would follow if anything happened to him.
I have very firm instructions. Anything happens, they're going to wipe him off the face of this earth.
He also criticized former President Joe Biden for not speaking out after Trump was briefed on the threats during the 2024 campaign. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security says agents opened fire in self-defense during a targeted immigration operation in Willowbrook, California, after a suspect rammed law enforcement with his vehicle. The suspect was arrested after trying to flee. No one was shot, though a U.S. Customs and Border Protection agent was injured. And a Black Virginia native whose work helped make GPS possible has died. Mathematician Dr. Gladys West passed away at 95. Born in Dinwiddie County, her research on the Earth's shape was critical to the global positioning system. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The UCLA men's basketball team got a big win Tuesday night at Pauley Pavilion. They beat Purdue, the number 4 team in the nation, 69-67. UCLA forward Tyler Bilodeau hit a game-winning three-pointer. The unranked Bruins gave Purdue their first loss in the Big Ten this season. The UCLA women's basketball team, ranked 3rd in the nation, are at home tonight against Purdue. Lakers star Luka Doncic is still leading the NBA in scoring with 33.5 points per game. Despite the Clippers' blowout loss in Chicago Tuesday night, they remain in 10th place in the Western Conference, the final playoff spot in the West. Major props to African-American tennis star Coco Gauff. Gauff donated $150,000 to provide scholarships for tennis players at HBCU schools. This is the second time Gauff has made the generous gesture. She gave $100,000 to HBCU tennis programs in 2025. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the voice of reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Tired of the same old sports talk? Ready to go where the real conversation happens? Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, host of Out of Bounds, the sports show that doesn't play it safe. Every Friday at 6 p.m. on KBLA Talk 1580, my co-host Neil Scarborough and I get you ready for the weekend. We take you beyond the highlight reels and into the stories that matter. The controversial calls, the game-changing plays, the athletes making headlines for all the right reasons and sometimes the wrong ones. From the NFL to the NBA, college ball to the pros, if it's happening in sports, we're breaking it down with no filter and all opinion. Tune in to Out of Bounds with me, Ray Richardson, and my co-host Neil Scarborough, live every Friday at 6 p.m. only on KBLA Talk 1580, because the best conversations happen out of bounds. KBLA Talk 1580, where Los Angeles talks.
Protect yourself from Medicare card scams. Scammers may call, email, or even knock on your door claiming they need your Medicare info, asking for money, or threatening to cancel your benefits. Don't fall for it. It's a scam. Remember, Medicare doesn't need to verify your information. They already have it. Medicare won't charge you for a new card and will never threaten to cancel benefits. Check your Medicare statements for suspicious charges and report scams to the California Senior Medicare Patrol at 1-855-613-7080. We're here to help.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the Southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, we're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Come go with us.
You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to the need.
Dr. Yeary's social justice work includes having served on the national board of the National Action Network from 2015 to 2021, past political action chair for the Maryland State Conference of the NAACP as co-founding principal of Community Churches for Community Development, Inc., and as the founding principal of SALT, Strategic Advocacy and Legislative Think Tank, a faith-based public policy collaborative that works on regional and national empowerment strategies impacting disaffected communities. He's often called upon to facilitate creative conversations that solve challenging public policy problems. A civil rights attorney and public policy advocate, Dr. Yeary holds a deep belief that honest dialogue creates opportunities to form strategic partnerships that strengthen families and communities. Dr. Yeary, welcome forward to Wealthy Wednesdays and the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. And as we wait for Dr. Yeary, I wanted to share with everyone that I thought the profundity with which Bernice King delivered her remarks, which from my perspective must always be difficult for Reverend Dr. Bernice King. Obviously, she's commemorating the birth of her father, but also having to reflect not very far from his gravesite, along with the gravesite of her mother. And yet with such poise and such grace, she comes forward every single year on this holiday to reflect upon the life of her father in a timely, relevant, courageous, and clear way. And she almost always challenges the occupant of the White House and the nation's leadership to a higher moral calling and purpose. And so I was particularly moved just a few years ago when I sat through the King holiday service at Ebenezer Church when Bernice delivered her annual address. Senator Raphael Warnock was present on that occasion. Of course, he is the pastor of Ebenezer Baptist Church right across the street from the King Center. And the grace with which she approaches under very difficult circumstances, that reflection must be some kind of special place that she has to dig in order to be able to provide the kind of clarity that she provides every single year during this period. And so I am particularly grateful for her spirit. I am completely grateful that God has given us a woman in this particular time, a leader of immense moral authority and clarity in Reverend Dr. Bernice King. I do believe that I want to turn our conversation to this question of Donald Trump and Greenland and his preoccupation and obsession with Greenland. With that said, I'm going to turn to our team and ask them to play the clip regarding Greenland.
Thucydides is presented as inevitable, as the natural logic of international relations reasserting itself. And faced with this logic, there is a strong tendency for countries to go along to get along, to accommodate, to avoid trouble, to hope that compliance will buy safety. Well, it won't. So what are our options? In 1978, the Czech dissident Václav Havel, later president, wrote an essay called The Power of the Powerless. And in it, he asked a simple question: how did the communist system sustain itself? And his answer began with a greengrocer. Every morning, this shopkeeper places a sign in his window: "Workers of the world unite." He doesn't believe it. No one does. But he places the sign anyway to avoid trouble, to signal compliance, to get along. And because every shopkeeper on every street does the same, the system persists. Not through violence alone, but through the participation of ordinary people in rituals they privately know to be false. Havel called this living within a lie. The system's power comes not from its truth, but from everyone's willingness to perform as if it were true. And its fragility comes from the same source. When even one person stops performing, when the greengrocer removes his sign, the illusion begins to crack. Friends, it is time for companies and countries to take their signs down. For decades, countries like Canada prospered under what we called the rules-based international order. We joined its institutions, we praised its principles, we benefited from its predictability. And because of that, we could pursue values-based foreign policies under its protection. We knew the story of the international rules-based order was partially false. that the strongest would exempt themselves when convenient, that trade rules were enforced asymmetrically. And we knew that international law applied with varying rigor depending on the identity of the accused or the victim. This fiction was useful. And American hegemony in particular helped provide public goods, open sea lanes, a stable financial system, collective security, and support for frameworks for resolving disputes. So we placed the sign in the window. We participated in the rituals. And we largely avoided calling out the gaps between rhetoric and reality. This bargain no longer works.
Dr. Erie, I want to turn our attention to Greenland, but I'm also deeply troubled by the reality that much of the investigations into Donald Trump in his first term were largely driven by what James Comey, Hillary Clinton, others actually knew about Donald Trump and his ability to bring chaos to the world order. We have just a few minutes before we come forward. Dr. Erie, your thoughts on the chaos of the hour from Donald John Trump in the international order?
Two words that come up in that speech. One is American hegemony. It is that sense of entitlement and self-proclaimed dominance and domination that the rest of the world is now paying very close attention to. And I think what you're beginning to see is a realignment of allegiances and alliances that could very well leave the United States out on a limb by itself. And simply claiming that you've got the strongest military on the face of the planet does not somehow make you the one who sets the rules on the playground. And so I think what inside the U.S. bubble, the thing that has to be determined, particularly in the halls of Congress, is how long do we let this reckless type of leadership go unchecked and not use what Congress has as its greatest tool, and that's the power of the purse. That you can't just use somebody else's money, which he's accustomed to doing, to do what he wants to do for his own benefit. And it's going to have diminishing returns, it already does. And eventually it's going to start causing harm in places where he claims that he's got his greatest success.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. This is Dr. S. Todd Erie. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Worried about unpredictable utility bills this winter? LADWP's Level Pay makes budgeting a breeze. With Level Pay, you'll receive a monthly bill that stays the same. No surprises. Even past due amounts can be rolled in, and you'll skip those seasonal spikes from heating your home. Sign up today at ladwp.com/levelpay. That's ladwp.com/levelpay, or call 1-800-DIAL-DWP and take control of your bill.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has worksource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
My mom has decided to learn to paint, and she's good.
My dad's now into creative cuisine, and I've already put on 6 pounds.
Learning new things comes with age.
My mom, she started forgetting my name and what we're talking about.
Forgetting well-known things doesn't. Memory loss may be a sign of Alzheimer's disease. Early detection gives you and your loved one time to plan for the future. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
My son loves to fly kites, but my active psoriatic arthritis can sometimes hold me back. Now with Skyrizi to treat my skin and joints, I'm ready to go. Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults, helps with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue. For those who also have plaque psoriasis, 90% clearer skin is possible with just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, there's nothing like clearer skin and better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi today and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward. Jackson Jr.
Come on and talk with me.
On
Listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA.
Every Wednesday, the J Lunch Club welcomes Dr. Yuri forward. Dr. Yuri, I have this revelation in our conversation that just arrived. Everything Trump did in his first term, when I think about Greenland, including demanding that Europe pay more of its own defense. It's not like it was an effort that if they paid more of their own defense, he would reduce the U.S. military budget. In fact, he will be the first president to propose $1 trillion annual military budget for the United States, the largest military budget per annum spending in the history of the world per year. But by demanding that Europe pay more of its own defense, and then the American people giving him a second term, he's essentially saying now, pay for all of your own defense. And of course, the greatest threat to Europe is Putin and Ukraine and the march of Putin westward from Ukraine to the borders potentially of Europe itself. When you speak about unraveling the entire international order, there is something to be said about the early investigations into Donald Trump and his behavior that was deeply troubling for the intelligence community in the United States. Dr. Yuri?
Yeah, there are a few things embedded in that very cogent question. The U.S. economy is a consumption-based economy.
what makes it thrive is for the consumer to be able to get what they need to consume. The U.S. economy is not built to be self-sustaining. It needs a global marketplace in which to operate so that you don't have as much pressure, right? We have a depressed labor wage. We have depressed opportunity. We have kind of exclusions for who does and does not get paid for certain types of work. If this were to really be, as they talk about, a market-based solution, much of what the U.S. claims to be America first would be beyond the reach to even be produced here, because the cost of labor as part of the formula would be unsustainable. And so for the U.S. to think that somehow or other, this notion of expanding military and getting other countries to pay more and giving this sense that somehow or other these factories are going to come back, and yet they're going to pay $7.25 an hour only in those states where the federal hourly wage is higher than the state wage. That's states particularly in the old Confederate South. We've got to be real clear that we understand that we're not going to get hustled this time. That's what Reverend Dr. Bernice King was talking about. That's what we heard from Davos this morning. Everybody is saying, look, we're on to this game and we're not going to get played again. And so whomever you've been talking to, Mr. President, that is feeding this kind of infantile insanity, you need to understand that it's not going to be go along to get along. You're going to get pushed back internally in terms of in the streets of the United States, and you're going to get pushed back in terms of global policy. And if you want to live on that iceberg, then go for it. But we're not going to become subjects to American hegemony again.
I heard the other day, and one person also commented in our chat, that they've never seen a president more intent on a World War III and another civil war, all within his own administration. Is there a tipping point, Todd?
Well, the tipping point is you've got to be careful that the Civil War and the World War don't happen at the same time, because then he's got to figure out what he's going to do with the military that he says has these off-the-chart enlistments going on, right? There is a ceiling to what the U.S. military can actually handle. And when he's running off in all of these places using the military for non-military purposes, what he's doing is he's further depleting the capacity of the military to do what nations' military forces are really there to do, to defend their interests. And so I think he's spreading things too thin, and I think he's giving himself too much credit that somehow or other he's going to be able to dominate. And in the meantime, I'm sure there are a number of conversations for which he is not privy, that those he would maybe consider as adversaries are maybe building alliances that are counter to the U.S. domination strategy that has never really worked. And even as he celebrates 250 years of independence, the independence of America was not done solely by the resources of America. They had to have allies in that exercise. And to think that somehow or other he can celebrate it and not honor it is something that we all have to reckon with.
You know, Dr. Uri, I think that I don't think he's making decisions at all. I don't think he's capable, given what we've seen over the last 9 months. I don't think he's capable of sitting through a meeting and rationally approaching the present role that he has as president of the United States. The moral questions, the political questions, the security questions. I don't think he's that patient. I don't think he gives the kind of reflection that we think about previous presidents, the George W. Bush, maybe more, George H.W. Bush, maybe more than George W., who needed his vice president. The kind of reflection that Barack Obama and John F. Kennedy and even Lyndon Johnson gave to the office of the presidency. I don't think he's capable of it. So this is there's some useful idiocy going on here, but there is a cabal in the White House that this country is going to have to come to terms with through the legal system when this administration is over. Talking about AutoPen, taking a person who is like spending the weekend with Bernie's, with the president of the United States, and just having him sign things that are part of this whole Project 2025 agenda has been so catastrophic to the Republic itself, to the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. He's shredding the document. Reverend Uri, we have about 2 minutes before we come forward. I know I took us in a deep valley. Can you take us to a mountain of hope?
Yeah, we got to climb the mountain, though. We got to be real clear. What we're seeing is actually the byproduct of exactly what you just mentioned. It is the kind of passive endorsement of this kind of recklessness. But here's what I will say for us to remember as we observe Dr. King's holiday on yesterday, or day before yesterday. We have to remember that Scripture tells us that in honoring God, now unto the one who is able to do exceedingly and abundantly above all that we can ask or imagine, according to the power that's at work within us. This isn't a moment about what God's going to do. This is a moment about what the people are going to do. Use the power that God has given us to be able to change the dynamics and dimensions of what human frailty cannot otherwise produce. And if the divine in us rises in this moment, then the moral outcomes will indeed be ours to experience, and we will be able to pass them on to our children.
Thank you, Dr. Uri, for being with us today.
Always good to be with you, my brother.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You've been listening to S. Todd Uri, the principal of the Uri Firm, a Maryland-based litigation and government relations firm. More with Jesse Jackson Jr. tomorrow, but for now, more with KBLA Talk 1580 when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now.